Micromanagement is such a toxic leadership trait. For me, they shouldn't even be called a leader because this is a manager who is scared, right? And because of their fear, the fear of making mistakes, the fear of losing control, they try to feel important and certain by controlling and manipulating others. And these people never trust their employees and they just can't seem to let go of anything. And a micromanager's fear just spreads like wildfire and sucks the energy out from your team completely. So, for me, when leadership is fueled by control instead of trust, the workplace just becomes a horrible place to work. And if you see any of this going on, you've just got to get out of there.
Welcome everyone back to my channel. My name is Dr. Sarah and I'm an industrial organizational psychologist and your counselor. And today in this video, we are going to look at the psychology of a micromanager. So question for you, have you ever worked for a leader who needs to know everything? Like what you're doing, how you're doing it, when you're doing it, and why you're doing it? Huh? And if you don't do it their way, suddenly they are now involved. Here's the uncomfortable question for some of you. What if micromanagement isn't really about the employee? What if it's about the leader's fears? Yes? See, not every micromanager has trauma or deep emotional wounds, but when controlling leadership becomes a pattern, psychology can reveal what may be happening under the surface of that leader. See, sometimes fear puts on a leadership costume, all right? Now let's give some definition about what is micromanagement, yes? So micromanagement is excessive involvement in another person's work. It's like monitoring, correcting all the time, second guessing, or interfering beyond what's actually necessary. And healthy leadership provides some clarity, accountability, and what I love, some autonomy, okay? And micromanagement removes this autonomy, yes? And a leader may struggle to delegate because they fear failure, right? So a micromanagement leader fears failure or doesn't trust others and needs to feel important or believes their way is the only right way. And that's where psychology becomes a tad interesting. So what's happening psychologically with this micromanager? Well, several patterns can contribute to micromanagement, such as the leader has low tolerance for uncertainty. The leader becomes uncomfortable when they are not fully informed or fully in control, okay? And there's this thing of perfectionism, yes? Because mistakes feel unacceptable for them. So the leader constantly hovers around, monitors, and corrects you, yes? Micromanagers have a low interpersonal trust. The belief becomes, if I don't do it myself, it won't be done, right? And there's also a need for significance for this micromanager leader. The leader may unconsciously equate being needed with being valuable. See all this emotional dumping on the team? Also, they have a fear of failure, right? If someone else's decision goes wrong, the leader may feel personally responsible and they can't handle that when things go wrong. And these patterns can lead to one central behavior, which is excessive control. I've had clients tell me it's like a choking around their neck. But here's the catch. Control can temporarily calm the leader while creating stress for everyone else, yes? If you've been under a micromanager, let me know in the comment section. Now, what happens to the team under this micromanager? Well, you see, the leader may actually think, I'm just making sure things are getting done, right? But the employee may experience, I don't feel trusted. They don't trust me. And I've heard employees say, they don't trust me, so I'm just not going to do anything extra, right? And that disconnects, the employee and employer. And micromanagement can actually leave people frustrated and hesitant and disengaged, right, from contributing. They may actually stop taking initiative, right, because they expect their decisions to be eventually overridden. These employees may actually stop sharing ideas because criticism feels inevitable, and nobody wants that all the time. And over time, those team members, their confidence can erode. And here's the leadership paradox. Trying to control performance can actually undermine performance. If you know what I mean, let me know in the comment section. Because people are more likely to contribute creatively when they feel trusted, right? When they feel trusted, they do more, they express themselves more. When they feel intimidated, they often shift from how can I make this better to how can I avoid getting into trouble here with this leader? And that's a very different workplace, right? Now, let's talk about the wound underneath this micromanaging leader, because some folks are experiencing emotional wounds. So sometimes the behavior of this micromanager has an emotional root. Perhaps the leader experienced betrayal in the past, rejection, harsh criticism, failure, or just being overlooked. So they just need to be needed by the team, right? Maybe the micromanager, learned to believe that having control makes them feel safer. And that belief can follow someone into leadership without them even realizing it. They're completely blind to this emotional thing. So here's a question worth asking. What am I trying to control in other people that I haven't learned to heal within myself? And now this is to the micromanaging leader. What are you trying to control that you haven't healed? Because sometimes the project isn't the real issue. Like you controlling the project and the people, they're not the real issue. The real issue is the unresolved wounds from the past. Now let's look at the need to be needed. Yes, by the micromanager. Oh yeah. There's another layer here, that leaders need to examine, and even employees and just teams in general. What happens when your team succeeds without you, right? So for a healthy leader, that's a win. Healthy leaders are visionary. They move on to other projects when the team is successful over here. Now, for an insecure leader, it can feel threatening that a team can do things without them because they feel things like they don't need me anymore, right? Trauma, right? Someone else is getting the credit, or they may feel maybe I'm not as important as I thought. And this can create a need to remain at the center of every decision. But leadership isn't about being indispensable, right? Your goal should be to build people up who can succeed without your constant intervention so you can move on to other things, leader, especially if you're a visionary. So if your team can't function without you, without, you touching everything and, you being part of everything, that's not strong leadership in my opinion. It actually may be codependency from this leader on the team. How about that? Now let's go on to a biblical perspective because I need to always balance this with faith. So in the book of 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 7, it says that God has not given us a spirit of fear. He didn't give us fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. A healthy, agile mind. Because fear can influence an entire leadership culture and the entire organization. And one intimidated leader can create an intimidated team. A lot of fear and anxiety. And employees will become guarded, may even leave. All right. And communication becomes very cautious. And people stop taking healthy risks in your team or even giving ideas. And some employees become genuinely angry with this leader and emotionally distressed or even deeply affected sincerely by controlling leadership. I've had someone that's had to go therapy because of a micromanaging leader. And we shouldn't dismiss this as simply just a difficult boss. This is very serious because leadership behaviors has consequences. Now, the solution, for the solution of this, we have to like look deep, look at the root. So the solution isn't simply telling a micromanager, stop micromanaging, because the behavior needs to change. But the leader may also need to understand why they feel compelled to control. And that can involve leadership coaching, counseling, and some emotional awareness, and quite frankly, some honest accountability. Yes? So if you're a micromanaging leader, you need to ask yourself, like, what am I afraid of will happen if I let go? What does someone else's success, why does someone else's success threaten my significance? What wound am I protecting? Who do I need to forgive? Yes, from the past. Yep, they're still having, rent-free space in your mind and your soul. Maybe someone betrayed you. Maybe someone made you feel insignificant. So you need to be center of attention, right? And annoying everybody else. Maybe someone taught you that trusting people was dangerous. We have to hold space for that, right? And forgiveness doesn't mean what happened was acceptable. It means you refuse to let an old wound dictate how you treat new people today. Because here's the danger, all right? You can certainly make innocent people in your team, in your environment, pay for pain they didn't cause you. Isn't that insane? That's not healing. That's just transferring the wound. Hello, that's transferring the wound. Now, in breaking the cycle, the pattern is fairly simple. Unresolved fear goes to excessive control, then it moves to intimidating employees, and also creates disengagement, and then also damages trust between the leader and the team. And if the leader doesn't address the root, the cycle continues. So the leader has to be willing to look in the mirror and say, maybe my team isn't the only thing that needs to change. Maybe I do too. How about that? And that's not weakness, leader or emerging leader there. Listen to me. That's leadership maturity. Leadership maturity. And I tell you right now, in this day and age in the workplace, we need leadership maturity. People are genuinely hurting as a result of micromanagers. So if you're a micromanager, don't shame yourself. This is not what this is about, but don't excuse yourself either. You can have good intentions, sincerely you can, and still create an unhealthy environment. You can love your team and still be controlling your team. They don't like this. You can be successful and still have emotional wounds that need attention. The goal is awareness, my friends, accountability, healing, and transformation. Because when the leader becomes healthier, the team has room to become healthier too. So maybe, the question isn't, how do I get my team to perform better? Micromanager, I'm talking to you. Maybe that's not the question. Maybe it's, what do I need to heal in myself so my team can actually thrive and for them to actually like you and stay engaged? How about that? Because sometimes the team doesn't need a tight grip. No, they need a healthier leader. They need a healthier leader. I really hope this resonates with those of you who are listening. Feel free to share this to your team and let me know in the comment section what you thought. Before you head out, give me a good thumbs up. Let me know that I'm on the right path with you all. And those of you who have actually subscribed, thank you so much. Much appreciated over here. And if you haven't subscribed, get subscribed so you can get more videos and more transformational knowledge like this. I will see you in the next video. Bye.